How's it going, guys? Today's video is basically a good game, but I'm not going to ruin the end for you guys, but it's a good game and a bad game all in one. As far as I remember, my teammates die pretty early, and it's me versus a lot of people, and I do a lot of damage, but the end is good and bad, and when you see it, you'll get what I mean. But yeah, I'm actually speeding up the boring parts right here when I'm just driving. So it gets to the first enemy I encounter in a couple of seconds. Anyway, I'm using the T29 with the 105mm, which is a really good gun. Does close to 300 damage on average, and that's tier 8 damage on a tier 7 tank. And yeah, it's right there. I think that's at 320 damage. I was actually too far away from my screen to see it. But I think, I'm not sure if that's the average. I know it's somewhere around 300. But I like the T29 with the gun from the Jackson, the 90mm. But the 105 is just so much better. And look at that. Yeah, 344 damage. That's just one tier up from that guy, and I'm completely obliterating him. And I'm not sure if I get the final shot on this guy. I don't think I do. No, split second before I reload. But, and I mean, like that guy, I think he shot my tracks, so it absorbed it. But even if he's shooting at my hull, it really depends. It's sometimes they go through, sometimes they don't. But that's the one weakness of this T29 is the hull. It's only got 100mm of armor. I've heard a lot of people say the Tiger is completely worthless because of the armor, and that's what this has, is 100. Both the Tiger and the T29 both have 100. Except for the fact that the T29's armor is pretty heavily sloped. So if you angle it right, you can bounce some shots, which most of the time I'm in this tank I go hull down, so the hull doesn't really matter as much. But I mean, it's still nice to have an angle. But yeah, that Wolverine was wasn't on full health. Even if he was, would have been no chance. I still would have one-shotted him. Let's take a hit. Let me see. Yeah, I do pretty much an average damage roll. Get lucky with the ammo rack, so I think he repairs it, but even if he didn't, either way, it's a win for me, because if he doesn't repair it, then he's going to be firing at half the speed he normally does, and I'm actually going to guess he didn't repair it, because it took him quite a while to get that shot off. But yeah, even if he did repair it, then he's out of a repair kit, so yeah, I think he didn't. I don't think he had a repair kit because Black Princes fire really quickly, a lot faster than the T29 does, and I just peeked out right there, took a shot at him, and he didn't even get a shot back at me, or he's not even paying attention. But I've heard people complain about the reload speed on this, but really, I've played tier 9 tanks. I've rarely played tier 10, but I've played tier 9 tanks in the beta, and once you get used to that, these tier 7 tanks and tier 8 tanks don't really seem like they take a long time to reload. And now what I was doing here was I was looking at the map. Well, pretty much for the most part of the game I was looking at the map and realizing that there's a lot of battles going on and we're losing most of them. So what I'm trying to do is get to the middle of the map and get back to our base, because it looked like a couple of tanks, at least the T29 and I think what turned out to be an AT2, but at the time I didn't know what it was. I think if I had looked at the scoreboard, I would have seen it as an AT2. But either way, I always wanted to get back to the middle of the map, because no matter what tank it is, they can cap the base. And as you saw right there, that was actually a really good damage roll. Look, 346 damage. And if I had stayed where I was just a second ago without moving up, I think I would have landed this shot. But this gun isn't really the most accurate, and it completely misses. Right about now, I'm starting to realize just how bad the situation is. There's a T29 with a lot of health left going back to the base. There's a tank destroyer, which I didn't know what it was at the time, going back to the base. And then this could have cost me the game right here. If I had just kept going, it would have been a lot, or wouldn't have been as close as it's going to be. And pretty soon they're right about to kill that T25 AT and start capping. And that's where the T29 speed comes in. It's not really the fastest tank, but it's definitely not slow. For a tier 7 heavy with that size of a turret, that big of a turret and heavy of a turret, and the gun that it has, it's actually quite fast. Of course on the hill it looks very, very slow, but I think there's not really much action until I actually get to the base. And just keep an eye on the cap counter, and it gets very, very close before I actually get there. And also keep an eye on how many teammates I have left alive, and compared to the enemies that are still left alive. It's really getting close, and of course there's no pressure on me to make sure I got it. But the reason I went for that T29 was because the AT2 was at an angle, so even if I had, I do have a lot of penetration with this gun, but an AT2 head on, I have to shoot its cupola to actually penetrate it. And that T29 was side on, and I didn't even realize it, but it was a one-hit kill. That AT2 should have died right there, but RNG decided to be nice. Well, actually, that was a high damage roll, but still, he was nice to the AT2. And I mistakenly shot at the little circle on the front of the AT2's armor, thinking that that's where I had shot it previously, which it wasn't. Actually, it was the bit of flat armor, or actually, sorry, really, really heavily angled armor that I ended up shooting. And yes, the AT2 does end up ramming me and kill himself. Ends up killing himself. And the reason I went for that Panzer was because the AT2 was just sitting there bouncing repeatedly. I had no problem bouncing him, so I was like, Panzer's gonna come behind me. He's gonna have no problem penning me, so I'm just gonna go and take him out. Now, I actually got really, really lucky. I think the Tiger missed the first time and then bounced the second time, and now he's pretty much got no chance, because if he could hit my cupola, then, I mean, there'd be no problem. Which, now that I think about it, why wasn't he shooting at my cupola? Because at that range, that's like point blank, he should have had no problem. But most tanks anyway. The Tiger's actually quite a big tank, whereas most tanks are a little bit shorter, so they can't reach it. Reach the cupola is what I'm talking about. And right here, the reason why I was going at the artillery was because he had just fired, but if he reloaded, which low tier artillery like that actually reload quite quickly, and if he had reloaded, he would have been able to, if he hit me in my side, or I mean even if he hit me on my turret, I don't know, the splash damage is quite big on artillery. And I've actually been the last one alive for quite a while now, but I've taken out an AT2, actually two AT2s, an artillery, a T29, and a Tiger just now, just inside the cap circle. And here is where I made the biggest mistake of this entire game. That shot right there, just being stupid. If I had waited and made sure that shot went through, this game would have ended up a bit differently, I think. And now that Churchill 7 behind me actually can't penetrate the back of my turret, so what I'm doing, I mean I've died now, but what I'm doing was trying to back up and push the Churchill 7 into that wall so he can't actually aim down and shoot the back of my tank, and just so he can only shoot the back of my turret, and it was working. But the second mistake I made was I didn't angle my armor right. I bounced a couple of shots from that Churchill 7 in front of me, but I really, really messed up with that angling. But as you can see, I mean, I got a Radley-Walters medal. Not even going to attempt to pronounce that, but I got another medal. Got a Defender medal and Top Gun medal. So, you know, I mean, that was a really good game for me. And I didn't actually have premium at the time that I had this game. But I would have gotten a lot more XP and a lot more money if I had premium. But I mean, I would say that damage just shows what kind of game that was, and the amount of damage I dealt. So I was really happy with that game. And really the only problem with that game was my teammates just died really, really early in the game. And I think there were two heavies left alive when I was driving into the cap circle. And then before that was all over, I think right as I was driving to the capture goal, they died. But yeah, it's not average for me to get 5,000 damage, but it is pretty average for me to get to have be in the process of having a really good game and then end up dying because my teammates. But I mean, all in all, that was a good game, and hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I hope I'll see you guys in the next.